Hi, I'm Marcus Collins of the MA Properties Online team with your Arlington market update for September 2019. Overall, the number of homes for sale in September was at 33. That's consistent with what we saw in 2018. In fact, it was exactly the same number in 2018. In terms of the new listings, we had slightly more in 2019 than we saw in 2018, 49 this year versus 46, but that's not a big deal, a big difference. We would expect that kind of difference. One metric which is different between the 2 years is the sale price to list price ratio. This is a really important metric. The way this is calculated is the ratio of the sale price to the list price. So imagine a home comes on the market for 700,000 and it sells for 700,000. That's a 100% sale price to list price ratio. This year in September, it was at about 98%. We would expect a lower number than for the overall year, just because a home that closed in September went under agreement in July, perhaps early August, which are slow periods. Last year, though, interestingly, that ratio was at 107%. This ratio is very much a metric that gives us a sense of buyer sentiment. If buyers are willing to pay over the list price, a ratio over 100%, that shows that there's strong buyer confidence. In terms of the number of homes that have sold, we're in the end of the third quarter, so we get a sense of what's going on over the first 3 quarters in 2019. We're actually on track to match the number that we saw in 2018. That's about 210 in the first 3 quarters. We'd expect that to ramp up to probably the high 200s, 201 actually in 2018, so very much consistent. So it's that ratio of the sale price to list price which is somewhat worrying, given the change that we've seen in that, perhaps indicating a slight shift away from a very strong seller's market, perhaps to a buyer's market, or perhaps a balanced market, perhaps even a buyer's market. We'll see. So what does that mean overall for today's buyers and sellers? In terms of sellers, we're still in a strong market, that's for sure. But we really do need to focus on the fundamentals, specifically creating a product that today's buyers want. You need to have a realistic pricing strategy. It has to be realistically priced, not high. That's key. And really focused on marketing to the demographics that we see within Arlington. What that means is first-time home buyers and downsizers. Looking at social media, digital, all of the marketing channels you need to be focused on. In terms of buying, it's still difficult to buy a home in Arlington, that's for sure. A little easier in the fall market as inventory numbers begin to creep up. But given the prospect of perhaps a correction in the housing market, today's buyers need to be laser focused on price, because it's possible that the price appreciation we've seen previously will not continue over 2020, rest of 19 and into 2020. So that's the Arlington market review for September 2019. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Marcus Collins from the MA Properties Online team. If you have any questions about what's going on in the market or the real estate market in general, feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss anything you want to discuss. So for now, bye.